Ready, set, art. All right, so the last one for transportation is this car right here, Lamborghini. And I love the shape of it. And I have to say, of the three that we did, the Plymouth Fury and then the motorcycle, for me this was the easier one to draw. And I think it's because of all the nice curves that are here, and it's kind of flattened a little bit. It makes sense as you draw it, kind of like, oh yeah, this feels like it should be here. So I liked it. I thought it was the easier one to draw. With that said, though, I have a feeling for my main piece I'll do the motorcycle because I love all the detailing that was in that compared to the other ones. Alright, so let's get this started. This is what I expect you to at least get done. And then when you look up the original based on the Google Slides, you'll see this one right here, although I accidentally printed it on green paper. So if you needed to see more details, you can. You just look up that Google Slides. Otherwise, this is how much I should at least see. It is a sketchbook assignment. You don't have to do every single detail. But this amount I thought was pretty good. I'll show you proportion-wise how to get it started. And then you'll finish up the details. Okay? I'm going to put this right here. Alright. So if you look at the length, kind of ends about right here. If you can't see, it's right there. And then, sorry, it's not clipboard, so maybe I'll go to the clipboard. And about right here. Okay. So now from there, I could kind of just put in somewhat of a shape. I'm drawing a little darker than I normally would. In a sketch, I wouldn't draw that dark. You're going to notice, too, that this bottom part comes out a little further than your hood. So I'm going to angle that part out. The tires are very much into the piece. My goodness. It's very, very low car. And then bring that back. And the back tire is set very far back. I had to redraw this quite a bit because I kept messing up the placement of the tires. So look at the distance between this tire and that tire. If you're not sure, what you do is you look at the photo and compare the tire to the top. If you look at this tire here, look where it lines up. This part here lines up with the back part. See that? And then this front tire, this right here, almost lines up where the mirror is, I'm sorry, the window is ending. So this is a very long space here between the two tires. So when I was drawing it out, I compared, from the photo, I compared the tire to how I did the top. And that's how I was able to figure it out. Okay, so right now the distance between my two tires here look pretty good, and then sometimes as I get going, it's a little different. Alright, so let's go ahead and finish up this window. The window was about a third of the way in of my tire, and it came up like this, and then we follow this part of the door. And it ends about right here, not at the tire, but looks like about 3/4 in. Okay, from here to here, it's about 3/4 in. Here's my door, bring that in. Has a very interesting door shape, see that? And then this kind of mottled shape here, molded shape, I guess. And then we have the seats. The seats are about right here. The other side of the door. And then the back part here. I'm going to go ahead and erase this part because it's like a convertible. And so we have now this basic form in. Here's this part of the shape. This goes pretty far back. And then you see this nice, interesting shape. And then I'm going to put this basic form in. I like how this part here is not straight. It actually angles down a little bit to that tire, and then it goes around the tire. Okay, This part is not completely straight. When it gets to here, it angles up a little bit. Okay, so I have the basic form here. Let's work on the front part. I found this to be a little challenging because there's so many highlights, and that's actually one of the lights. But if you look at this interesting shape here, it almost like reminds you of a shark, the front of a shark, how it's done. It's an interesting form. Okay, so let's work on that. So this hood kind of comes down and it gets close to the wheel. I'm going to go ahead and put this around the wheel. And then it gets to here, it kind of stops. And then if you go here, go about that far in, follow this line in, and then we can create that little light. Okay. This is part of the hood, more part of the hood. And then I'm going to angle this in to create the next shape. And it goes in, and then again, like I said, this part actually comes out further. It's like an overbite. See how it's starting to remind you of like the shark, because here's the eye. And then there's all these details here. So you can see we have the basic form in. The hardest part about this piece is getting the placement of those tires correct, because I noticed as I was drawing it, I kept putting them too close together, and it was wrong, because on this space here, that's a very long door. I mean, it is crazy long. So and then it has this special detail right here that I added in. What's that detail? It's that detail right there. So the space between the two tires is fairly long, and that's the hardest part of the piece. It's just proportion wise is making sure you get that part correct. Alright, so I showed you how the basic form is. You want to start by kind of creating a guideline. It ends about there, starts about here. Create this curve, right? Place your tires far apart, get that big door in, create that interesting form in the front. This part should come out a little further than the tip of that hood. And this is how many details I should see. I should at least see the mirror. That's actually the wheel. And then the two seats. This detail, get that detail in, these little details, this part in here, and then a few of these details, and that will finish up this piece. Thank you and good luck.